Hello, this is Kade and welcome to another Starfield shipbuilding video. And the one I have for you today, well, she should need no introduction. The name of the title of this video should say it all. This is Dreadnought, and she dreads nothing at all. This is really my go-to ship. She is a C-class vessel, as you can obviously see. She brings a hell of a lot of firepower. Best shields in class, very long range, max jump range, insane amount of fuel, probably overkill amount of fuel. The only thing she doesn't bring is cargo. She has very small cargo capacity. We're looking at around just under 5k base cargo, which is not amazing, but it's good enough for me. And the exchange of that low cargo capacity does mean that we have high mobility. How high of mobility? Well, we're scoring well over 80, close to 90 points worth of our mobility score. And that means that when we're going to go into combat, all these forward-facing turrets, we will point them towards the enemy, and the enemies will just die. This thing can jump into a hostile fleet, and it will come out of there without a scratch on our paint. And that's why this ship is so much fun to play around with. And why it's really my favorite little ship. And on top of all of that, we still have all of our amenities in the interior. We still have plenty of crew berthing. We still have plenty of crew workspaces. We have all our crafting stations. So we have everything that we need. Whether you want to play this ship for solo purposes, or you want to bring along an entirely full crew. This ship literally has it all. And as a final bonus, it only has one ladder, and it's a very small one. So, with that all said, let's go ahead and take a look through the interior of the ship. And after that, of course, we will go and lay her all down for you to show you how she's being built and how you could replicate her if you so desired. So, let's go ahead to the interior. Alright then, for the interior of the Dreadnought. What we find is we are entering through the landing bay, which of course is my favorite tire module. You can look straight ahead and you can see through the armory, through the very long corridor, and then almost in the foggy distance there is the companionway that also leads to the bridge. But first off, our armory here is being flanked on either side with two very important modules. On the left here you will find a infirmary. So the infirmary of course has your two medical beds, but for gameplay purposes, most importantly, you find a crafting station and a pharmaceutical laboratory. So that is two of your key crafting stations already covered. Then on the other side of the armory we find ourselves with the workshop, which of course covers us for the rest of the crafting stations that we might desire. Then through here, as you said, we are in the armory, so plenty of spaces to put down some weapons, and of course some spacesuits also. Then through this long corridor here we go into the companionway. Now this companionway goes straight into the bridge, and on either side is being flanked by a mirrored configuration. This configuration consists of our control station, and it's being followed by a computer core room. So this configuration being mirrored is identical on the other side. Then going up to our bridge, which of course the Nova Galactic one, which is still the best looking bridge. I think the second best one would be from Tayo. But this one just has amazing views out to these massive windows, which are right back at this really steep angle. It makes it look really cool. And the color inside, it was fairly light, so it makes it for a nice bright space. Behind the bridge, we find another control room. So this is where a lot of course crew work could be done. Then we go through some more of these corridor spaces into another companionway. Now this is where we find our only ladder in the entire ship. We'll go up to it in a moment. But it's also flanked on either side by two more of the corridors. And these lead into again a mirrored configuration. So we go into a companionway. To the back of it we have the Nova all-in-one berth, the Bravo version. So this provides us with a good chunk of our beds for the crew. And then up front we find the living quarters, which provides us with two more beds and of course just general R&R spaces for the crew. As I said, this configuration is again mirrored on the other side, so completely identical. Then if we go up, of course using our boost pack for speed, we find our docking module, And then finally the captain's quarters on top here for a nice, quiet and private space. So that is the full interior of the Dreadnought. As you can see, she packs everything that you would need. And well, not too much useless space. Although one could argue perhaps that we have a few too many of the control stations on board. But if you wanted to change them out for a different habitation module, you can of course do so. These layouts are non-conflicting. So, with that showing you the exterior of the ship, the interior of the ship, let's go ahead and take her apart and show you how she has been built. Alright then, so here we have her fully laid out for you. We of course going again from left to right, deck 1 to deck 2 to deck 3 in this case. It's not that high of a vessel. Starting then off here at deck 1, what do we find? Well, as we mentioned of course, our bridge, leading into our companionway, into the control station and the computer core, mirrored on the other side. Hope Tech, HAP spines, armory, workshop, infirmary, tile landing bay. For our landing gear, the NG20 landing gears from Nova Galactic, 6 on either side for a total of 12. 4 braking engines, 2 on either side. Deimos hull A pieces, 1 on either side. Our engines, the Sol 630-30 engines. 4 of these here, and 2 more can be found on deck 2. And then in the rear we find as well a couple of the Deimos belly aft, which were used to round off the lines of the ship a little bit. Going onwards to deck 2, for habitation, the control station, a couple more of the spine modules, companionway, a couple more of the cross braces, companionway, all-in-one bird Bravo, living quarters, and again mirrored on the other side. For our important bits, we have our generator, SF40, max power C-class generator, our graft drive, C-class again, highest power, fuel tanks, bit overkill, 4 of the 900T HE fuel tanks, a Hope Tech radiator, the final 2 of our engines, 2 more of the Deimos hull pieces, again A, 4 more braking engines, a total of 8 portholes for the top, on top of the living quarters and the bird modules, and also a pair of Galleon S204 cargo holds, and to round it off, a couple of the Stroud cowlings, 1 on either side. Going then to the final deck, for deck 3, in the front, more Stroud caps, so we have the nose cap and 2 of the side caps, a whole bunch of the Nova Tech radiators, so we have a total of 5 on either side of the large ones, plus 2 smaller ones, 4 of the Nova wings, 1 here and a mirrored on the other side, 2 200 cm ballast cargo holds and 2 400 cm ballast cargo holds, our shield generator SG1800, and our docking module from Stroud Eklund, and also of course our captain's quarters with 2 portholes on top of it. For the weapons configuration that I'm running, 3 Obliterator 250s, 4 PBO 300s and 4 PBO 100. All of these are particle cannon turrets. The PBO 100s are a Bravo class module, and the PBO 300 and the Obliterator 250s are C class modules. So, if you want to build this ship, where do you start? Well, you're going to start over on Titan, so New Homestead for the Nova Galactic part. Most of the ship is Nova Galactic, with a little bit of Deimos and Hope Tech thrown in there. You can pretty much lay out the entirety of the ship and just replace some bits as you need to. So for starters, if you go over and go then to Titan, you start to build the ship, you don't have access to these spines of course. So just put some companionways in here. The interior will go all wonky, don't worry about it. The same goes for the other spine and the cross braces here. You could even already put the ones in here from Nova Galactic. They also have them for the width ones. They just don't have any that go lengthwise. Well, the landing gears of course you can find over here, that's not a problem. These bits are entirely cosmetic, so they can be turned on later. The Deimos hull bits you can just replace with the Nova Galactic structural elements. I would call that damn thing again. The Nova bracer, these ones can be just a replacement for those bits. And then you already have your first deck and of course your bridge. For the landing bay, you can just put on something else over here, and you may need to rejiggle perhaps some of the modules a little bit so that it will fit and not conflict immediately. But that's not big of a worry because you're going to replace that anyway. If you find that you're really struggling with it, maybe get yourselves this Taio bay module first, put it on a ship, fly over to Titan, and then build the rest. Same routine goes for deck 2. These are just mostly cosmetic. You can replace them with those Nova Galactic Bracer modules here, so you can attach the engines for the moment. These things are cosmetic. Of course, they do place the weapons, so you can put something else on here that can hold weapon systems. But in general, you're going to fit the weapon systems as last anyway, so don't worry too much about it. Fuel tanks are available here. Engines may not be, I don't know from the top of my head. If they're not, just put some other engines on it and we can replace them later. It doesn't matter too much. Fuel tanks, all of this is available here, as well as the cargo base. Everything pretty much on top here is available with the exception of the weapon systems and the stroud caps. So what you're going to do then, you finish out of everything that you can with the Nova Galactic bits. Then, considering you're in the Sol system, make a quick pit stop over at Deimos to grab a couple of Deimos pieces that we put on here. So you replace the pieces from Nova Galactic with Deimos. Your next stop is then going to be over towards Stroud Eklund. Put in the caps, shield generator, and all of your weapon systems. And you are done with the entirety of the build. If you prefer a different interior style, of course, for the habitation modules, you can do so entirely. Every single one of the interior habitation modules is entirely replaceable with something that you desire, with of course the exception being the spine modules and the bracers. But you can put any other 2x1 habitation modules in the place of any of these 2x1 habitation modules. There are 0 areas where they're going to conflict, so you don't have to worry about that for your design. So if you want to go Deimos modules, Stroud Eklund, Taio, Hopetak, literally whichever ones you want, a mixture of any of the ones that you want, you can run them as you desire. The reason I'm running the Hopetak ones is that I think they have clearly received the most attention to detail, and they really have that NASA punk feeling that they're trying to go with from the developers, and I just like them interior wise the most. I do not like their exterior as much, but considering for the most part of the ship I'm dealing with the interior and less so with the exterior, I am fine with that trade-off. And this is, as I said, my go-to ship, so that's why I'm running with these modules. They are my personal preference. But if your preference is otherwise, then by all means you can go somewhere else. Now finally, if you are willing to sacrifice this amazing mobility for more cargo space, you can do so to a fairly good degree without affecting the design too much. And you will do that by replacing these two over here. So you replace these with the Galleon cargo holds, for example. And then maybe for the front one here, just to keep the lines a little bit better, instead of going for the 204 cargo hold, you can switch that one over to the 203 cargo hold, as it has that rounded off edge, which fits a little bit better with the bridge module. If we take this one over here, you can see it gives a little bit of nicer line, and because this is further back, it looks quite alright. You lose a small amount of cargo with doing this, but still it is mostly acceptable. So how much mobility are you going to lose? Well, if we just do it entirely, so we will delete, of course, these modules, because it would be unfair to keep them. We put these in place, look like that, and you can see we're losing about 40 mobility, and in exchange we're going up a fairly healthy chunk in our cargo. I think overall would this be 24, 3, so yeah, gonna be 8,000 something plus cargo capacity that we're going to be adding to this ship, which is a very good chunk of cargo, or just slightly under 8,000, sorry. So that adds a nice chunk of cargo without making it entirely unusable. 47 mobility is not amazing, but it's still good enough that you can point the ship towards most targets without having too much issue That said, if you are a little bit afraid at that point because you're not as mobile anymore, because you're running turrets as weapon systems, you can of course just grab them and be like, hey, I want you to point to the back because I'm afraid that people are going to shoot me from there. And now you got some weapon system going to the back, to below, whatever you want. They can cover your ship 360 fairly effectively. So that is then the Dreadnought and how you can change her to your own desires if you want to choose to do so. As always, I hope that this video was informative to you, and till next time, I've been Kade. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.